What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday, happy Labor Day. We are now a week away from Seahawks football. A week and 8, 9 hours from now, we will be looking at the Seahawks in a regular season game. And as we did last year, I like to establish a little bit of a pattern throughout the season of churning out predictable content types mixed in with the more unpredictable content types. So you've got the stuff that comes up over the course of the season that you don't see coming until you get there. They're dictated specifically by what actually happens that season, be it an announcement of an injury, be it a announcement of some sort of change in strategy by the team, be it just news in general, certain things that need to be talked about based off what the team is doing. I think you guys understand that you have a lot of stuff that happens over the course of a football season that isn't predictable, but some things are. And some things, no matter what, are going to be interesting to fans of that team, or at least they should be. If you're following the team close enough to watch this YouTube channel, you probably care about some of this stuff. So we did it last year. It worked well. It gave me something consistent to put out every week, and we're going to do it again this year. It's going to be partially similar, but we're also going to add some new stuff. So this year, we're going to stick with Snap Count Monday. Real simple, real easy concept. You just take a look at the snap counts of a bunch of the players on your team, see how much they're playing, see patterns that might be changing over the course of the season, where maybe early on this guy's getting a lot of snaps, and then as time goes on he gets fewer and fewer because another guy's taking them. Maybe we start to see some consistent rotations. Maybe we start to get an idea of how these coaches feel these players are best utilized. So it's a pretty simple concept. I'm just going to continue to stick with it because I think the snap count data is always worth looking at for any team, no matter what. A lot of different reasons. Keeping a player fresh over the course of a game, a season, or a career. Snap counts matter for that stuff. How much you are on the football field getting hit by a big dude, it affects how much more you can remain on a football field getting hit by big dudes. You only got so many hits in your body. So Snap Count Monday will be returning this year. I've got the spreadsheet set up. We'll start filling it in as the games get played. I think you guys kind of get the drill. Largely the same as last year. We've got a running back, Penny, Walker, Homer, Dallas, Valor. A lot of interesting stuff here. How are we going to utilize the Penny-Walker 1-2 combo to start? Are we going to see that change as the season goes on? A lot of people think Penny's going to be the featured back at first, and then Walker will start to take over as the season goes on. How is DJ Dallas going to get on the field when he's got these three guys ahead of him? Barring injury, are there going to be any snaps left over for him? And Nick Ballore, just because we don't use a fullback very often, will that maybe change a little bit? We didn't use Ballore very much on offense last year. The Waldron/McVay offense doesn't use fullbacks very often in general, so... I should say that they do occasionally use a fullback that is actually a tight end, but in terms of a pure fullback, you don't see it that often. How many times are we going to see it this year? Interesting subplots. A wide receiver... Metcalf and Lockett, you would expect them to play over 90% of the snaps if they're healthy. So the interesting stuff happens down here. I expect Eskridge to be the de facto number 3 as long as he's healthy. But what if he's not? What if somebody usurps that role? What if somebody else is playing more snaps than him? What does that say about how we view him as a player? And then how much are these other guys going to play? Because we don't do a ton of like 4 receiver sets. These guys are not going to get on the field as much as they might on another team. Marquise Goodwin, talented, but we didn't get to see him in preseason at all. Penny Hart's been around forever. We like him, but he's Penny Hart. He still hasn't really done much of anything in a regular season game yet. And then Derek Young, the rookie, the young guy, the bit of an unknown, has an interesting skill set, fun player, but is he going to get out there this rookie year with so many talented guys in front of him? And we're also going to do tight ends. Noah Fant should clearly be the number 1. Disley should clearly be the number 2. The kind of interesting thing here is how often are we going to run 2 tight end sets, because the Waldron offense loves 2 tight end sets. Right near the top of the league in 2 tight end sets. And then you have Colby Parkinson, who, because of that, should also get on the field a little bit as well. Now, we don't have the offensive line here yet, and the reason why that is because most teams use the same set of offensive linemen as often as they can. Only when somebody gets hurt do they swap in another player. So I didn't feel like it would just be all that compelling to look at a chart where there's just 100% for every game for the top 5 guys unless somebody gets hurt. If there's some indication that we're going to try to do things differently, we're going to try some sort of situational thing, I don't know if teams really do that. Not in my experience, but I might add it. But as of right now, I don't think doing offensive lineman snaps would be all that educational. And we're doing it on defense as well. Same setup here. Obviously, we've got the 3-4 now, so we've got the defensive line. Logically speaking, Monet and Woods are going to be your nose tackles, but not 100% sure on that. Poona Ford might play nose, he might not. The other guys should clearly linemen. LJ Collier's on the IR. If he does come back this year, I'll add him, but for now he's not here. Poona Ford, Al Woods, Monet, Shelby, Quentin Jefferson, Miles Adams. It's not a super deep defensive line, so how we mix up our snaps is going to be interesting. Who gets on the field in certain situations, how we keep everybody fresh over the course of a full game. Always interesting. We also have edge rusher, obviously. Key. We've got 4 right now, Taylor, Nwosu, Mafe, and Robinson backing him up. Because Tyreek went on IR, he's going to miss the year. Josh Ono-Giogu may get called up at some point, and we'll add him if he does. But he would probably be our 5th pass rusher right now. Well, edge rusher at least. Obviously, you have guys like Jamal Adams that are going to do some of that. And inside linebacker right now, paper thin. Jordan Brooks, Cody Barton, and Nick Bellore, a fullback, is our 3rd inside linebacker. So you can predict, honestly, Brooks barely needs to be here because he's going to be playing every snap until he gets hurt, pretty much, right? Like, you're not going to see Brooks rotate out very much, especially with this depth. And honestly, Barton, he's going to come off for occasional downs, but he's going to play a lot too. There's nothing behind these guys. We have literally a fullback and a special teamer. And I don't mean a fullback and a special teamer. I mean a fullback / special teamer rolled into one. Secondary, very interesting how we split this up. You've got a little bit of Artie Burns, Sidney Jones, Tariq Woolen, Michael Jackson, Kobe Bryant, Justin Coleman, John Reed, who is currently on IR, Trey Brown, also currently on IR, and Ryan Neal, who I don't think is 100% back. But how are we going to make this work? Are we going to stick with the veterans? Are Burns and Jones going to start on the outside with Coleman starting in the nickel? When do you start seeing Woolen get mixed in as a player on the outside? Is he going to actually start week 1? Michael Jackson, does he get involved after his great preseason? Does Kobe play on the inside or the outside? And how much is he going to play whenever he happens to play? When Trey Brown gets back, are we viewing him as a nickel corner or an outside corner? Ryan Neal's kind of a tweener between safety and corner in fairness. I think he's a better corner, but he may end up playing more safety on this team. We'll see. But there's 9 guys here. I don't think Coleman's going to last more than a month, but even with just 8 guys, it's interesting to see how things get divvied up here. And then, of course, you got your safeties. Now, Adams and Diggs are going to play pretty much 100%, but how do we get these guys on the field on occasion is the thing that's interesting. And that's really about it. It's a pretty simple concept. If you guys were watching my videos last year, you saw me do plenty of this. It's just this idea of, over the course of watching a 3-hour football game, 3.5 hours, you can lose track of who's actually out there. It all kind of meshes together in your head because each game has over 100 snaps. Each game has over 120 snaps by and large. Very rare you find a game that doesn't have at least 120 total snaps plus special teams. So it's easy to kind of lose track of who's actually out there. And it also, and we may delve into this a little bit as the season goes on, I may expand this weekly series a little bit. We may also try to get a feel for when certain players are playing. What's the defensive line on passing downs? Who are the edge rushers on key passing downs? Um, how do we mix up our cornerbacks? Do we play like matchups, or is it just the same guys every week? So there's definitely some interesting stuff to understand and unpack here. I'm excited to see how things get pushed around. Obviously, the stakes are not what they usually are, right? Most years I would be like, okay, we need to rotate our players effectively because we need them fresh for the playoffs. Well, this year, not really thinking about the playoffs that much. I'm just thinking about A, keeping them effective over the course of the season, and B, keeping them fresh for the length of their careers because some of these guys are going to probably be Seahawks for the foreseeable future, or at least the next couple years. All right, so that's your Snap Count Monday wrap up. Obviously, when we don't play on Sunday, when we play, for instance, this upcoming Monday night, we'll bump it to the next day. But same idea. I think you guys pretty much get the rhythm here. So I will see you guys later today. It is a holiday, so I should be streaming pretty early on. Just hope to see you there. Go Hawks.